good night, everyone. Doing God is good, and God is good all the time. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. I have some update news, and I do have a word for you tonight. We talk about the new polling. The new polling find cracks in Trump-based criminal cases that make an impression. Now, first impression is a case that represents a legal issue that had never had been decided by a governor jurisdiction. Now, Trump is the first to represent a legal issue to the court. Now, he wants the voters to make a decision to take him out the ballot or keep him on. He wants that to be the voters' decision, not the court. So on Tuesday, Colorado Supreme Court held that former Trump engaged in insurrection under the terms of Section 3 of 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Now, the court stated that he are ineligible for serving as president. So Colorado Supreme Court had voted. The court ruling that 14th Amendment forbid former Trump from holding the office because he had engaged in insurrection on January the 6th. So when his supporters had overran the Capitol, the four who voted was the two are registered for Democrat, and the other two are not registered for the party. So the Constitution is a set of fundamental rules that determine how to country, state, and run of our Constitution. Now, are written down clearly in a specific document had called the Constitution. Now, insurrection is the act of instant revolting, especially violence, against civil and political authority, against establishment government. Now, Trump wants voters to make a decision, not the court. So one, do you want voters to make the decision to keep Trump on ballot 24? Or do you want it to be turned over to the court? Now, we will let Supreme Court continue ruling on this case, because he had been engaged in insurrection on January the 6th. So I request let the Supreme Court make the decision. So we another update was IDF finds bodies of 5 hostages in Gaza, tunnel. So IDF, five has said that 5 hostages have been found in North Gaza tunnel. So the Israel conflict with Hezbollah had comes after the terrorist group launched attack on October the 7th. See, they had conflict way back then, but it stirred up again October the 7th. So the discovery was made after carrying out Operation Demento. So Hezbollah underground headquarters in the Enclave. Now Hezbollah has said that they lost contact with one of the groups that had taken the hostages following a series of airstrikes. So we see they're still holding hostages. And we see the IDF discovered the 5 bodies in the tunnel. Hezbollah stated that he will not, release any hostages. But we will pray for this conflict to end. So Israel and Hezbollah, you both have to come to an end of this conflict. Too many bodies is being found. Why this war is going on. So there's no food, there's no water, coming through, and this war has to end. Because now you got children and people is starving because no food is coming in because of due to the war. So Israel has been in war. So the soldiers the IDF soldiers had some terrorists after 14 soldiers had died. So the soldier was killed in combat in Gaza. So Israel military has said there had been some other blood-seen days of battle. Now, since they had started ground offensive, the health ministry has been controlling. Gaza said 166 people died in the area over the past days. So Israel Army Radio reported 4 soldiers was killed, and when they called was struck by an air tank missile, other was killed fighting Israel. prime minister. So they had stated that they will keep fighting until we continue with all the force until the end of victory. Until the end of victory. So until we reach all of our goals. So that's a goal they're trying to meet up. Victory. So they're gonna keep this war going on. So we see there's no ending to this war, but there should be a peace talk. So IDF continue its ground operation against Hezbollah in Gaza. The troops have found a Hezbollah weapon. They also found their weapon, including explosives, belt, children, schools. They found all this. Children suffered. They found the children. So that's an update on the news. So this package here is like no hate. The Israelite hated Samaritans. So Jesus had told a story about 3 men, but 2 was Jews and 1 was a Samaritan. So Jews had hate the Samaritan. So Jesus gonna tell a parable, a story of who gonna be the good Samaritan. And this story gonna come from Luke chapter 10, 25 through 37. So on one occasion, an expert in the law had stood up, to test Jesus. Teacher that he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? So Jesus had said, you must love God above all else and serve his neighbors in love. Now, the first commandment, you got to love God. Love God, and he wants you to love your neighbors. So then what is written in the law? That he replied, how do you read it? Now those who accept the message will be blessed, and those who reject it will be left behind. Now the disciples have returned celebrating what they have seen and accomplished. So now he asked to love your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and love your neighbors as yourself. Now these are two commandments right here. Love God with all your heart, with everything, every strength you got, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now that's two strong words right there. Love God and love your neighbors. Now, this expert in the law, that he correctly understood that the law but Jesus had talked about more about these laws, that he have to love God and your neighbor as you love yourself. So you have to answer correctly. Jesus replied, do this and you will live. Now the specific rules for the Israelite to love God and love others. Because see, they got hate going on. The Jews don't like the Samaritan, but the Samaritan is mixed with Jews, but they still don't like the Samaritan. But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? Now see, this legal expert here, he asking the question. He asking the right question. Now, who is your neighbor? So he thinking it's my next door neighbor. Who is my neighbor? So Jesus has stated to the Lord, everyone is his neighbor. Even his enemy, but no person can justify himself. So in a reply that Jesus had said, a man was going down the, this is a story in the parable that Jesus is telling. He wanted the disciples to know which one is a good Samaritan. So I'm about to tell this, Jesus about to tell this story. He said a man was going down the road, Jerusalem to Jericho. So when he was attacked by robbers, they stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. And we don't know what happened. All we know that the robbers had beat him or whatever, and just left him there. Just left him there. So we about to see. Now, love God, love your neighbor. So it's a heart of a Messiah law. Now he wants to know who is our neighbor. That's a good question because some of them think when you say neighbor, they think you talk about your next door neighbor. Now Jesus tell a story. An unidentified man is assaulted and left for dead. So there will be three men. Now Jesus, he telling the story. There gonna be three men will pass. But they will have to know who would be a good Samaritan. So a priest. This a favorite man. There gonna be three men. So this a person. The priest happens to be going down the same road, going down the same road. It tell you how some people see you, but they don't see you. So the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. And that's how things is sometimes. They'll see things. Oh, okay. Yeah, I said, okay, well, let me go around here. Go on the other side. Went all the way on the other side, to keep from passing by the man, because you'll feel guilty. You look and see somebody ain't helping, you just gonna keep on going. So we see that this preacher, he was a priest, just one of God's people, the Israelite, the priest, Aaron's sons. Aaron and his son was a priest. So the priest had saw the man, and he passed by. It's a Jews who it was a Samaritan. It was Samaritan. And they hate each other. That's why I said at the topic, no hate. So they're Jews. And the man was half dead, was a Samaritan. So that's the reason why he just kept passing them by. Instead of trying to help him. And left him laying down there half dead, not through the wound which he had received, but the priest came and passed by. And he came and passed by. And that's one of God's people. He know the rules. They already know what they're supposed to do. Care for people, and they just kept on going. So too, a Levi. So now we got Levites. The Levi had went and came to the place and saw him and passed on the other side. So we see the Levi had saw him pass by on the other side, and the two men who passed him, was a commission by God to teach the people, how to follow the law. Because see, God already taught them everything. They're supposed to do what they're supposed to be doing, what God had taught them. So they were supposed to show love for this man. And this was what Jesus was saying, that this is your neighbor to care for. Now he asked the question, who is my neighbor? That's who your neighbor is. Who land down there, who you pass by. Who you pass by. So the first man, was a priest. The second man was a Levite, and both of them is Israelite. So we see the Levi had saw him, pass him by on the other side. The two men who passed him by was a commission by God, to teach the people to follow the law. But they were supposed to show love for this man, and this is what Jesus is saying. This is your neighbor to care for. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, he came where the man was. And when he saw him, he took pity on him. Now he a Samaritan. The man is laying down in Samaria. So that's the only reason he probably to stop, because that was his own people. And see, Jesus don't want us to just stop and care for just our people. He wants you to care for all. If that was the Jews laying down there, what you would have still took care of? What you would have stopped? But by you a Samaritan, and a man have dead Samaritans, so you gonna take good care of. But see, Jesus was saying, I need y'all to take care of anyone that come through and pass by. So a deep hatred, existed between Jews and the Samaritans. The Jews had saw themselves as pure descendants of Abraham. Samaria was a mixed race, produced when they intermarried with other people after the Israel. Because they have Israel, have Samaritans. So we see the Samaritan had compassion, a person who was tender emotion or feeling. Now he had compassion. He took care of this person that was laying down. He took care of him. Then he went to him and he bandages this man's wound and put an oil on him and wine, and then he put the man on his own donkey and brought him to an angle to take care of him. Now he cleaned the man's wound up. And then he put him on his donkey to take him somewhere else by the ankle rim so the rest of the ladies can take care of him. He said, but I'll be back and pay you whatever it costs. I'll be back. And that was a Samaritan. He took care of his wound and everything else and then paid somebody to continue on taking care of him. So the Samaritan had freely shared his own supplies and goes out to his way to care for the wound the man, and the man was lying down half dead, was a Samaritan, and who had mercy on him was a Samaritan also. And he stopped and saw about this man. Now the Samaritan was a good Samaritan, but he would have stopped, if there was a Jew. A good Samaritan who helped all. So the next day that he took out, two diary and give them to the anchor key. Now he took the man. He took care of much as he can, cleaned the wound all up. Then he looked after him, and then he said, and when I return, he said, when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expenses that you may have. Now this really a good Samaritan here. Now take care of this man right here. And when I return back, I will reimburse you for your meal, for your labor, in any expenses that it costs to take care of this man. I will reimburse you back. Bring you your money back. So Jesus explained the kind of love that God expects from his followers. Love that identifies a need for maintaining a distance and service. Now he used his own tools, to take care of this man. So which of these three do you think was a neighbor to a man who fell into the hands of robbers? So the real victory of a good Samaritan explains that the obligation to love is tended to anyone, and everyone. So the man lying down was a Samaritan. The first two men was a Jews. So they hated Samaritan. So they saw him and they kept going. They kept going because they was an Israelite. That man laying down was a Samaritan. They ain't even want to stop. A good Samaritan was a good Samaritan to another Samaritan. Now Jesus has said when he see anyone who can help, doesn't matter who they are, but be a good Samaritan to all. Now the expert in the law is explained the one who had mercy on him, Jesus told him to go in likewise. So Jesus has said whoever in need is your neighbor, and you're gonna help anyone. We ain't gonna have just the age. So love your neighbor as yourself and be kindly towards anyone else. So that's the story. So Jesus revealed that the legal expert, are talking to Jesus to justify himself, and when he asked Jesus, who is my neighbor, a good Samaritan is the one who stopped and had compassion and saved this man. So the good Samaritan, it was the one that stopped it, see what was going on with him, and cleaned up his room, and then took him to get proper care. No matter how long he was laying down there, he probably was hungry and thirsty. So we also talk about the update on the news on Trump. He want the voters, to vote for him, to keep him on the ballot. So we also talk about the IDF. They found about 5 bodies, in a tunnel. So that's all the words I have on tonight. So we all know the Samaritan is not your next door neighbor. Samaritan, anyone that may be in help or need. So y'all have a blessed Christmas, and I see y'all on the next day.